This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the day one regular session of performance testing real time live project with JMeter. So, yesterday we had the demo session for our training in which we went through the different topics, right? The course curriculum which is going to be covered as part of this training. I hope you all enjoyed yesterday's session. So today we are going to continue from yesterday, and then I gave you the introduction to the different types of non-functional testing, right? The different types of non-functional testing like performance testing, operational acceptance testing, security testing, accessibility testing, browser compatibility testing. Out of all these different testing types, because each testing has its own significance, right? Out of all these testing types, our focus will be on performance testing. Here all of you, our focus will be on performance testing. So let me share my screen and we'll continue from there. Yeah, hope my screen is visible to all of you. So we saw the different types of non-functional testing, that is performance testing, operational acceptance testing, security testing, browser compatibility testing, and accessibility testing. So our focus will be on performance testing. Now, many times the question comes to the mind that we already have a functional testing team who is completely testing the functionality of the application, whether all the scenarios whatever is there in the application, whether they are working fine or not, all those things are tested by a functional testing application. They write so many test cases, they test so many scenarios, positive scenarios, negative scenarios. Then why one more phase of testing, why one more type of testing, that is the performance testing, right? Why it is required? Clear guys? So the functional testing team focuses on the functionality. Okay. Now, whenever, as I was telling you yesterday, I am going to book a Tatkal ticket. So the Tatkal ticket booking application is working fine, right? There is no bugs in the application, there is no defects in the application, let's say. But still I highlighted that point. Why? The reason being, even if there is no issue in the functionality of the application, when so many users are trying to access the application to book the Tatkal tickets on the website, the users are not having a good time, right? The users are not having a good time, they are not having a good experience. Why? Because the website becomes slow. Sometimes it does not become responsive, it is unresponsive, right? It is not responsive to the users. So performance testing focuses on the other aspects which should be there in the application. The first among them, okay, the first among them is the speed. See, if there are a lot of web applications nowadays as well as mobile applications nowadays, right? If the application which your client has developed, if that is not fast enough, if it is not able to respond to the users at a considerable speed, then the users are not going to enjoy that application and they are going to leave that application, go to the competitors application. And as I was telling you, for the businesses, for the different companies, customers are very important, guys, right? Customers are very important. No business would like to lose their customers. Clear, all of you? So they have to retain their customers. Now, if they have to retain their customers, they need to have a good performance, good speed for their application, so that the users who are going to use that application, they don't move away from that application. Clear, all of you? Are all of you clear? They don't move away from that application. Similarly, that is why the speed is very important. We are testing whether the speed of the application which is under test, that is at a considerable level or not. The speed is good or not, right? So that we have to measure the speed at which the application is responding to the users. Clear, all of you? The next point which we are trying to see is scalability. Let's say my speed is good, or my application is responding fast enough. My application is responding fast enough. But if it is responding fast enough, let's say currently 1000 users are using the application. Okay. Now today there are 1000 users accessing the application, and your business or your enterprise or your organization, your client, will they still want that their application be accessed by 1000 users after 1 year or 2 years also? Or they would want to increase that user footfall by multiple times? What would they like? They would like to multiply that, right? Like for example, if you have a shop, today 20 people are coming to your shop. Tomorrow, what would you want? Would you want 20 people coming to your shop, or 50 people coming to your shop, or 100 people coming to your shop? Definitely 100 people coming to your shop, because you want to increase your business. Similarly, the product of your client, or the application developed by your client, they have a business to do. They need profits. So whatever is the future volume which is going to come to their application, they have to also ensure that the performance of the application is able to meet. Okay, the performance of the application is able to meet the additional users also. Clear, all of you? So speed and scalability, basically your application should not only respond fast, but it should also be scalable. Means today whatever is the volume of users, whatever is the number of users accessing the application, tomorrow if we have increase in the number of the users, the application should be able to scale up. It should be able to provide service at a good speed to the new set of users, new user counts. Are you getting me? So we need to verify the speed. We need to verify whether my application is scalable or not. Then let's say my application is having a good speed. My application is having that scalability. It is able to accommodate the new user load. Now it will not be sufficient if it accommodates the new user load, let's say for 1 or 2 days or 1 month. It should be able to cater to that user load over a long period of time, guys. As long as the application is accessible, it should be able to cater to that user load. Clear, all of you, or not? Okay, it should be able to cater to that user load. Am I clear? So basically the application should be reliable. The application should be able to cater to the user load over a longer period of time and the user should be able to access the application at a considerable speed. So these are the three different factors which we normally focus on while doing performance testing, or we do performance testing to measure these three different things, that is speed, scalability and reliability. In order to verify this, we again do different types of tests. Clear all of you? We do different types of tests in order to verify them. Clear? For example, for verifying the speed, we normally do the load tests. For scalability, we normally do the stress test and the spike tests. For reliability, we do the endurance tests. Right? So every test has a different objective. Now I'm expecting that because we are going to learn about the real-time project, so you all know at least the basics about performance testing and the basics of JMeter, right? So that these are the reasons why we need performance testing, and the different parameters which we are going to measure, or the different metrics which we are going to measure out of these different tests are like the response time. So response time provides you the metric, or it is a measure of the speed of the application, right? Similarly, the throughput, the hits per second, the errors, the number of active users, we are going to measure those parameters. And then along with that, we are going to measure the infrastructure side as well. Clear? The infrastructure side, in which we see the CPU utilization, we verify the memory utilization, disk utilization. Okay, so there are so many other counters which we verify. Any queries from anyone why performance testing is required? Any queries, guys? Okay, so then we go to the different phases in the performance testing life cycle. Clear all of you? We go to the different phases in the performance testing life cycle. Now because we are going to do performance testing, we are going to do different activities, different set of activities, and those different set of activities will be conducted in different phases of performance testing. Okay, so performance testing is a complete life cycle, right? It has a life cycle and it has different phases in that life cycle. In each of the different phases, we are going to do different activities. Now let us go through the different phases. First, requirement gathering, right? Requirement gathering. So as the name suggests, we are going to gather the requirements for this, guys. Clear? We are going to gather the requirements for this. Now what do I mean by requirements? The requirements based on which we are going to do the performance testing, right? Requirements means the requirements based on which we are going to do the performance testing. Those requirements are called as non-functional requirements, because your functional testing team is going to have their own requirements, which will be called as functional requirements, right? Similarly, for non-functional testing, there will be the non-functional requirements. So along with the non-functional requirements, there are other activities which you need to do in the requirement gathering phase. Okay, so we'll go in details about that. Okay, then comes the test plan and design phase. Clear all of you? Test plan and design phase. Now what is this test plan and design phase? In this test plan and design phase, here, so just assume that we have gathered the requirements and then we are going to do the test planning and design. Now what all are the different activities in that? We'll go in details. The next phase, guys, is test execution. So once your test plan and design phase is completed, you are going to do the test execution. Once test execution is done, what will you do with those results? What will you do with those results? Like for example, if I give you loads of data, but if you do not know how to analyze that data, how to use that data is of no use to you, right? So our next activity is to analyze those test results. Okay, to analyze those test results. Clear all of you? The next phase, that is the test reporting phase, in which we prepare the test report based on the analysis which we have done on the test results. Okay, we prepare the test report and we are going to present that to the customer and the different stakeholders. Clear all of you? Any queries, anyone on this slide? Any queries, anyone?
No. Good.
Okay, so then we'll go to the next slide. So the first phase which we are going to discuss in details is the requirement gathering. So if you refer the image here, they are just wondering, what am I going to do? I have been deployed to a project in which I have to do performance testing, but I do performance testing of what? I do performance testing on basis of what? Right? Performance testing of what? Performance testing on basis of what? Clear? So there are so many questions which come to your mind, right? Whenever you get deployed to a project, that anxiety is there, right? So that nervousness is also there. Whatever projects you have worked on, because with time new technology is coming up, applications are being developed using new technology stack, new architecture designs. So every time you get into a new project, you have that nervousness, that anxiety. How am I going to do? That is why, guys, we have this phase, that is the requirement gathering phase. Okay, in this phase, now why am I telling you in details, guys? You all might have also worked on performance testing project, but there could be some points which I'm going to cover and you might not know, and they are going to be adding advantage for you. Also, this will help you in brushing up your performance testing knowledge. And because we are going to carry out the different activities, you will be able to map those activities to the different phases and you will be able to know, yes, I need to do this, I need to do that. Clear? First, whenever you are deployed to any project, you have been told to do the performance testing of XYZ application, what you need to know? You need to understand that application. Now let's say you are part of or you are employee of any particular organization who is into a particular domain. Let's say you are part of an organization which is into a particular domain. For example, you are working for a bank, means you are the employee of the bank, and that bank has its own IT department in which it is hiring developers, it is hiring testers, and you have been working for long in that. Then you are very well aware of that application, right? And whatever new features come, that will not be very challenging for you. However, if you are part of the service industry, any any organization, any company who provides IT services to different clients, then every now and then you will be deployed in different projects, and different projects means different new applications. And every time you are deployed into a new project, you have to understand the application. That is the most challenging part, guys, right? We have to be very dynamic. We have to learn and understand the application. But one good thing is that from a performance testing point of view, we did not understand the application entirely. Okay, we do not need to understand the application entirely. We should have the overall knowledge of the application, but whatever modules are important for us, we should know them in details. But the other modules which are not important for us, that we might know in detail, we might not know based on your interest. But whatever is important for us, we need to know, we need to understand them in detail. Clear, all of you? Right? So how will you know which is important for you? How will you know which is not important for you? That is why we need to identify the scope, right? We need to identify the scope, right? What am I going to test? What is my scope of test? That I need to identify. Now let us go to the normal team structure. In general, what all stakeholders are there in a project. Let us go through that. So basically we like it depends, are we working on a waterfall model or a agile model, right? Because the stakeholders will be different, but there are some common stakeholders with which we will normally interact for our scope identification. Okay, from the business side, your point of contact, primary point of contact, will be the business analyst. Remember this, guys. You will get a question in interviews that from whom are you going to get your scope? From whom are you going to get your scope? So remember, you should always say that our primary point of contact is the business analyst. However, if our queries are not clarified with the business analyst, we might reach out to the other stakeholders. Then who are they? They could be the solution architect. They could be the development team. They could be the business users. So they will help you regarding the scope identification. But there are other aspects also for which you have to go to other team members. So I'll come to that whenever I am discussing about that activity in general. Okay, clear? Then the next activity. Now I told that we'll identify the scope. Scope means what we are going to do, or which all scenarios we are going to do, or which all scenarios we are going to do the performance testing, right? We are going to do the performance testing for which all scenarios. So in performance testing language, they are called as performance testing candidates. Always remember, in your interviews, please use performance testing terminologies that will give the evaluator or the interviewer extra confidence, additional confidence on you. So which all scenarios will be the candidates for performance testing? The scenarios which are frequently used in production. Okay, the scenarios which are frequently used in production, and the scenarios which are mission critical, guys. Clear? The scenarios which are frequently used and the scenarios which are mission critical. Now let's see what is frequently used. Now whenever your application is getting developed, there is a vision, right? There is a conceptual visualization, and there would be a target that my application will have different functionalities, but these all functionalities, let's say functionality A, functionality B, functionality C, is going to be used by most number of users, okay, and it is going to be used most of the times. So we have to identify those kind of scenarios which are going to be used by most number of users and going to be used by most of the time. That will be called as frequently used scenarios. Okay, clear all of you? And then the mission critical. What is the mission critical scenario? Mission critical scenario is basically that without that functionality, okay, or without that scenario, the whole purpose, the purpose behind building that application cannot be met. For example, I'll tell you, there is a flight booking application, okay, and I'm able to search a flight, but booking flight is not working. Booking flight is not working, it is having a lot of issues. Now with that, if we send the application to production, or let's say you did the performance testing of search flight scenario, but because booking flight was not working, you did not test it, and you provided the go ahead to deploy that application in production. Now what is the use to the customer? What is the benefit to the customer? People will come to their website, they will keep on searching the flight. But if the end users keep on searching the flight, there is no revenue for the client, right? If there are flight bookings, then only your customer will get benefited. Are you getting me? The whole purpose behind their application is that the flight booking should work. I just gave an example. Similarly, there could be different scenarios in your application which are mission critical as far as the application functionality and business flow is concerned. So those scenarios which fall into these two categories, they will be candidates for performance testing. Then comes, guys, NFRs, non-functional requirements. Now you decided which all scenarios you are going to test, right? You identified which all scenarios you are going to test. However, On what basis are you going to test them? Right? On what basis are you going to test them? So you need the non-functional requirements, right? You need the requirements on the basis of which you are going to test those scenarios. Now let's say you got some non-functional requirements. Do you think when you are going to get the non-functional requirements, they will contain all those information which you need? Do you think that when you are going to get the initial version of the non-functional requirements, you will have all the information in them which you need? No, right? Definitely you will go through the NFRs, you will verify whether whether they contain all the information whatever you need. So you are going to do the static testing of the NFRs. Now what is static testing? You will go through each and every NFR. You are going to review the non-functional requirements, okay, and verify the information required for you to test the different scenarios, are they present or not. Let me give you an example. The application or the transactions in the application should respond within 5 seconds. Let's say this is a requirement. Do you think this requirement is complete? Do you think the requirement is complete? No, this requirement is not complete because it tells you about only the response time. Now, the response time should be within 5 seconds for how many number of users? Right? Clear? How many number of users? Then, how many transactions are we expecting to get processed per second or per minute or per hour? Those information also is missing. So basically whatever information we need, we are going to do the analysis of the NFRs. Now there is an approach to that. Okay, there is an approach. You cannot, just go and hit around the bush and tell that okay, I have done the analysis. No, that doesn't happen like that. There is a checklist for that, and that checklist we are going to discuss in details when we will do the static testing of NFRs, hands on. Okay, now here I have written finalized and approved NFR. So you are not going to get all the information you need in your NFRs in the first phase itself. Definitely there will be some gaps. You have to close those gaps by going back to the business analyst, and different rounds of reviews will go on, and then you will come up with the final list of NFRs which you are going to test for the application under performance system. Okay, then comes your test environment, performance test environment. Okay, performance test environment. Now who will provide you the environment? Again there is another team in your project who will be your environment team, right? The environment team. The environment team will provision the performance test environment to you. Okay, so in the requirement gathering phase itself, you need to place a request with them regarding the test environment, performance test environment. Clear? You need to place a request with them. Now the question is, what kind of environment will that be? Right? What kind of environment will that be? Remember guys, in performance testing Our objective is to simulate the production behavior as much as possible, right? Production behavior as much as possible. Now, if we are going to simulate the production behavior, our environment should also be like production. Okay, it should also be like production. Now, when I say it should be like production, what does that mean? The hardware specifications like CPU, memory, disk space, amount of data in the database, right? All those things, or the volume of data basically, right? Because if a database is empty completely or no records are present in it and 50% of the database is occupied. Now when the queries, okay, SQL queries get executed on the database, the execution time will vary, because in one case there is no data in the database, and in the other case the database has 50% of space, let's say, occupied. So the volume of data has an impact on the SQL query performance. Clear, all of you? So that is why your performance test environment should be close to production, should be similar to production, so that you can simulate the user behavior on the performance test environment, as well as you can get the behavior very close to production. The response time, everything, etc., they will be close to production. Clear? Are all of
Yes,
you clear?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. For example, in my team, they want to do the performance testing in direct in production. They don't want to create any separate environment because of cost cutting. Okay. Is it recommended to do performance testing direct on production or not? Is there
It
any
is not
input on?
recommended. It is not recommended to do performance testing directly on production, because there are different challenges first of all, and there are different repercussions. Let's say during your performance test the production environment goes down. Okay, the production environment goes down, so the
Mm,
end users will not be able to access the application.
mm.
So will it
Yes,
impact
yes.
the business or not? It will
Yes,
impact
yes. But
the.
they said that, but the higher management said that it is not directly inserting in the main database. It is inserting other database, but it's not impact 100%, not 100%, 50%. They are not giving the 100% confirmation, but they are saying it's not impact. We are created separate indexes or separate data setup, that one. Everything
Now,
is in
whenever you are
production.
going to do the performance test, you will write some data also into the database, right?
Mm,
You will
mm,
write
mm,
some
mm,
data
yes,
into the database.
database.
Now, those data is dummy data. Those data
Dummy data,
is
yes,
dummy data.
dummy data.
Will they
Hmm.
not get written into the production database?
Sorry.
Will they not get written into the
Hmm.
database?
Production database. Hmm. Yes.
So, does your client allow dummy data to be written into the production database?
Hopefully, no.
No, right? No one will
Hmm.
want the production database to have dummy data.
Yes, yes. But they
Yes.
are thinking about the cost cutting, because if you want to set up all these servers and infra, it is a huge cost.
No, then
It's
you
almost
have to
50%.
become a performance test consultant. You have to educate them. You have to educate them.
Hmm.
Cost cutting is not always the solution,
Hmm.
right? If they want
Yes, yes.
quality delivery, they need to understand, because you will be doing different rounds of execution, right? And in case
Yes,
you
yes.
find any issues, now let's say you find
Hmm.
issues on production, okay?
Yes. Yeah.
So the development team need to fix that,
That is a very
right?
difficult situation. Yes.
No, no, let me complete. The development team will
Mm-hmm.
resolve that issue.
Yes.
Once they resolve, will they directly deploy in production?
No, they will give a stage or pre-prod.
No.
Intermediate.
Can they do that? They can do that, but that is risky, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
because of their code changes,
Mm.
if any new defect is introduced,
Mm.
that defect will go to production also.
Yes. Directly.
So they will definitely do the deployment on any testing environment. Functional testing will be done for that, let's say,
Mm.
and they pass it to production, and they will tell
Mm.
you, okay, you do the test on production.
Yes.
Will you take that risk?
No, they said that we have to identify the what type of issues we will get in production before the main load test. That is actually a problematic
No,
situation.
no. Then your customer needs to understand. They need
Okay.
education,
Okay.
and you need to educate them. Okay,
Yeah.
you see,
Yeah. Yeah.
you need to educate them with examples and
Mm.
ask questions to them. Ask
Mm.
questions means like this: what if my application goes down in production? Okay, let's say they have answered to
Yes.
that. But then the example which I told you, you identify one
Mm.
issue,
Mm.
development team resolves that, but while resolving, let's say there is any new issue or new defect which came up,
Mm.
okay, and that is
Yes.
tested.
Yes.
Functionally, it is tested, but performance wise, it
Mm.
is not tested.
Mm.
And I do not know because of those changes, performance has improved or performance has degraded. I, as a performance
Yes.
test engineer, I do not know.
Yeah.
And you are asking me to deploy that to production again, and I'll test it on production. No, I cannot take that risk. That is not how the
Mm.
industry works. Are you getting
Yes.
me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so there
Got
are
it, sir.
so many risks involved with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other queries, anyone? Okay, so then now we discussed, right? What are the different activities which we carry out and all. Okay, what are the different activities which we carry out? But everything is not smooth in a project, right? Well, just now we are hearing one of the example, right? Different projects, different challenges. Nothing is smooth. If things would be smooth, we would not be called as IT professionals, right? So IT itself would be a cakewalk, but it is not a cakewalk, right? So there are different challenges also associated with each phase. So with requirement gathering also, there are different challenges, guys. I have listed down few of them, but there are different challenges. The important ones are, most of the times we see, we do not get a finalized scope. See, I have so much of industry experience, I'll give you real time examples. Okay, with that you will be able to understand, okay, the project works in this manner, these are the challenges which I will face, and I need to take this and this action to resolve that. So finalized scope and NFRs, it is very difficult to get that. Okay, I have seen many times it is not available. Some projects, some customers, they are even not aware of NFRs. Forget getting finalized list of NFRs, right? So over there, you as a performance test engineer have to educate the customer. Sometimes you have to sit with the business analyst and help them in coming up with NFRs. Okay. So in that case, you are also playing the role of a business analyst, right? So one of the challenges is that you do not get finalized scope, you do not get finalized NFRs, but we have to ask that. Otherwise, later in the testing life cycle, or in the other phases, our efforts, will get wasted. We have to do rework. All those things will come up. So you need to follow up for the finalized scope, finalized and efforts. Test environment availability. Best example we saw again now. Someone is telling in their project, they are saying we cannot give you a performance test environment because of cost issues. You do the test directly on production. But you know what? If any issue is encountered on production, the effort and cost which will be required to resolve that by involving the development team and all, it will be higher than that. Are you getting me? So you have to understand the see everything will have a merit and a demerit, right? So the best decision has to be taken considering all the pros, all the cons. So test environment availability, when I say test environment availability, that is performance test environment availability. That is a challenge. Sometimes the project team will give you a performance testing environment. But what did I say? It should be close to production, right? It should be close to production. Now, if it is not close to production, it is of, not 100% use for you. Now, sometimes they will give you a test environment, performance test environment, but that performance test environment will not be close to production. Again, in that case, you have to raise a risk that the application, okay, the application is not, or the performance test environment is not close to production, and hence the performance test results which we will get on this environment cannot be compared, cannot be correlated to production. Clear, all of you? Keep on raising risks. Keep on raising risks. Then only the project will understand.
Yes,
So these
sir. One
are
more
the,
doubt here.
yeah.
Yeah. For example,
You can you
this is
can
a
you can
completely new
simply call
project.
me Chandra. Okay, don't no need to
Yeah,
call me
Chandra.
sir. Simply
Yeah,
call me Chandra.
Chandra.
Yeah.
For example, that is a completely new project. We don't have any production infra previously. Okay, this is the completely new product. Okay, so
Mhm.
in this scenario, we don't have any baseline reports. So we don't have anything. We don't have any proper infra also. So they gave just a stage environment with a very small infra T3A, some medium. So what is actually our approach to do performance testing?
Yes. Very good question. Okay. But you said that production environment is not available. But
Yeah.
definitely the design for production environment will be available. The architecture team would have already produced the design for the production environment. Otherwise, they will not involve you,
Mm-hmm.
right? The design would
Yes.
already be there. Based on that, the testing teams will come into picture. Now, if the design is not ready, why the testing team will be involved in the project? Are you getting me?
Sorry, repeat.
So, okay, the architecture team would have already conceptualized and would have the design ready for the production environment. Clear?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The design would already be in place. Like for example, when you're going to build a house,
Mm.
a new house,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, they
Your
have
new
some
house is
design,
not
yes.
there, right? Your new
Mm-hmm.
house is not there. Are you going to
Mm.
build that house on your own? Means, like abruptly, today you thought
Mm-hmm.
this I'll
Yes.
do, then tomorrow I'll do this. Are you going to do that?
Mm. No, no, no. We have one proper design.
You have
Yeah,
a
before.
plan, right?
Yes.
A design.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Similarly, for the production environment also, there will be a design in place already. Based on the
Mm.
requirements given, the architecture team will come up with a design for the production environment. They will propose a design that yes, this design will be able to cater to the requirements.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, that design will also include all the specifications, like what will be your hardware specifications for your, let's say, web server, if there are any load balancers, how many load balancers will be there, how many application servers will be there, how many database servers will be there, Okay, what
Mm.
will be the
Yes.
different platforms used, whether the servers will be hosted on the data center of the organization or they will be on the cloud. Everything will be there in place. You have to ask the environment team to refer to that design and build your performance test environment.
Okay.
Clear?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If, for example, they provided direct stage environment, shall we do our activities and give them some baseline report?
But
Is it
that
okay?
baseline report will be of no use again, right? Because that environment is not comparable to production.
Production,
You can
yes.
do
Okay.
that. You can do your early performance tests there, give early
Mm-hmm.
indication to the development team. But they should not be considered as final results. Even the
Ah, yes,
baseline
yes.
also.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's say you have to do the test with 2000 users. On that
Mm.
staged environment, that will not be able to, let's say, cope up with that volume. You will do the test with, let's say, 200 or 300 users.
Yes.
Now, with 200 and 300 users or 300 users, let's say, there is one environment which is close to production. There is one environment which is very low in specifications as compared to production. Even if you
Mm.
do the baseline tests on both of them, will the baseline tests be or the results be similar?
No.
They will not be similar. Then how can
Yeah.
you know, go and give
Mm-hmm.
those
Got it.
results?
Yeah, yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
is the point.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other queries, anyone? So then we'll go to the next phase, that is the test plan and design phase. Okay. Now that you just assume we have gone through the requirement gathering phase, we have our scope ready, we have our NFRs ready, we have placed the request with the environment team for our performance test environment. The activity which you are going to do, the first one will be the major activity, okay? Test strategy and test plan creation, okay? You have got your scope, you know what to test, on basis of what you will do the test, all those things you know now. So you have to come up with your approach. Okay, you have to come up with your approach, that what will be your test strategy, and in order to meet that strategy, what is your plan? Understood, guys? So test strategy and test plan are not the same. Strategy means one approach which you have decided, and what is your plan in order to meet that approach. Okay, test strategy, test plan are two different deliverables. Two different deliverables from the performance testing team. Test strategy is normally in the form of a PowerPoint presentation, or it can be also a Word document, but it is not as lengthy as the test plan. So we'll go through the different templates, guys. Okay, we'll go through the different templates, we'll prepare those test strategy and test plan. So the test strategy will be a, the volume of that document will not be as high as the test plan. It will contain your approach, and you are going to present that to the customer, to the different project stakeholders. But test plan will be a very detailed document. We'll go through that template as well. But yes, in this phase, you are going to document the test strategy and the test plan. Once you document that, you need to get it reviewed with your peers. Peers means your team members, okay? And your test lead, you get it reviewed before sharing with external stakeholders or other stakeholders apart from your performance testing team. Clear? Once you do the peer review, incorporate the review comments, whatever you get in the peer review. Once you incorporate the review comments, once again get it reviewed with your peers. Once you get a green signal that yes, this document, this, and yes, there will be draft, okay. These draft versions are now ready to be published to the customer, to the external stakeholders. So you will then do the walkthrough of the test strategy. Okay. Test plan will be a heavier document, a lengthy document. You cannot do the walkthrough because people will get bored. So ideally what you do, you tell the stakeholders that you will send or you will share the test plan document offline, but test strategy you do the walkthrough, and then you request for the approval from the stakeholders for both the documents, test strategy as well as test plan. Here all of you ask for the approval on both the documents. Okay, so that is the first major activity in the test plan and design phase. With this we'll stop the session for today because we have come to the end of the duration. So we'll continue from here in the next session. Thank you all.